Oh, Rajid.
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
what's your preference of topic? Where are you at right now? What's your aims and goals and visions for your next move?
Oh, if I would share that with you, I think you will fall off your chairs.
That's good.
Yeah. Actually, I know it sounds strange maybe from for you guys, but I'm gonna go back to the Matrix. Yes, for a while.
What does that mean?
Yeah. It just means that I'm going to play what we call the 3D game, right? That's why I shaved. That's why I did, and I'm gonna do some work, getting a bank account and work it a bit for I think for a year at least and see how I feel about it. So yeah, that's basically what I'm gonna do. That's my next move actually.
Okay, just gonna get the root.
You guys aren't shocked.
No, not
Yeah.
really. It's the season for that. It's yeah. Joe was just saying it's a season for it. There's a lot of movements happening, a lot of shifts happening, a lot of realignments happening. So yeah, we've had people here in the community who are also going back to the Matrix with a similar objective. So it's not so much of a shock. But now is kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the last time if anyone needs to tick strands or do that, it's like this is it. Now or never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel for me it's like working in the Matrix have been such a big trauma. So for me it's a little bit facing that trauma, also facing that fear to actually go back despite everything and still be able to do it without having emotions or feeling bad. Because if you can do that, then you can do basically everything. So I think for me, it's just about facing that fear. Because for me, it is a little bit of fear to go back. So
Mm,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey. So
Yes.
how are you navigating that, knowing you obviously are well aware of what is happening in the world and all the different movements and shifts that are happening politically, socially. I mean, what's your
Hmm.
how are you navigating
I
that?
mean, I'm good. Yeah. So I'm going to be in Greece most likely. And I'm also going to be um, outside the cities living. So for me, it's like for me, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to shut away the news or anything that is happening outside of myself. And I'm just going to judge what I feel at this moment, right? Because I'm not going to let anyone tell me what is happening outside, something I'm not experiencing at the moment. So I'm going to go by that. And if I feel good, then it's good. If I see big shifts happening and I see like, okay, this is something like, for example, Corona, it happened a little bit before and then slowly the lockdown came. Then, of course, then you need to prepare yourself. I think for me, I think it's all going to be good. I don't see there's going to be what we could maybe call an apocalyptic thing where ev everything just crumbles like that. That's my perspective.
mhm. Good.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I think this year is the year that people will be doing what you're doing. I think even for us, we've positioned ourselves now where we're looking at ways we can righteously generate more income and more currency, more abundance, but in ways that are aligned with what we see is happening in the world. So we're making sure that we're plugging enough into the matrix and extracting the energy without becoming matrix. So we're essentially like plugging in to open the door for to funnel the energy into what we're doing, so that if the door does close, we've at least extracted what we can and open the doors and networks for people to come through that portal. So I think this year is the year. I think it's been still enough to be able to do it. People have already forgotten that anything happened. At least on a conscious level. Subconsciously, there's still traumas. There's still a very deep programming that's like shifted since the lockdowns and things. But if you look at day to day, it almost looks the same at this moment. And I think that's the trap. Personally, I think that is the trap. It's like, oh, cool. It's been calm long enough. Come back and why don't you just get a job, and why don't you just everything's fine. It's over. And then I see that there's more to come. It's already been publicized. There's more to come. The ones that are controlling the puppets, they've already said, well, when the next pandemic happens, they've said it out loud. When the cyber attack happens, it's not like if we faced. It's like when it happens this year. They've already said it. So if we're playing the 3D game, you have to look at the 3D rule sheet from those that are coding the game at the highest level, and they've coded this year is a year where there's these events that are happening, the cyber attacks and these kind of things. So I think for those plugging into the matrix, perfectly fine, so long as you're plugging into the matrix positioned for what's being said is going to happen. Because then that's intelligent, that's wise. It's like, cool, I'm making a conscious decision to plug into this space, knowing that these things are happening. So let me make sure I have, like I said, the answer from my perspective is always the same. Make sure you have food stores, make sure you have clean water supply, make sure you have your own electricity and your own power for an event, but also just to be sovereign and self-sustainable. The answer is always the same. Be sovereign, self-sustainable, whether you're in the matrix realm or you're not. Be in that space, regardless. So that's really the advice to anyone listening who's in the same kind of mindset you're going into, is go into it sovereign. Don't go into it to lose don't go into it to be a slave. Plug in as a sovereign being, as far as you're capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great way to put it. And I feel it. It's different when you plug in from a sovereign perspective.
Yeah.
Because now you know the rules. So, and you know the traps. So you're more vigilant, I would say.
Yeah. But then this is where it's like, if you are aware of the traps, you know that when you go into those 3D states, the 3D is more carnal, right? So when it's 3D and more carnal, this is when the Maya, the illusion, kicks in. So the Maya, the illusion, is the woman in the red dress in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
So you think and then the woman in the red dress comes and you take your eyes off for one moment. And that's all it takes. Like a thief in the night, this is what's happening. Like a thief in the night, boom, everything changes like that. And it happens over and over. So it's like I said, whether you're hearing this from the Matrix or you're hearing this from your own plot of land, everything's set up, it doesn't matter. Keep your eye on the ball. So if you're in the Matrix, be in the Matrix with full awareness that it's all a game, it's all a facade, it's all an illusion. All the money is fiat. They tell you it's fake. Doesn't mean anything. So go there with meaning, with purpose, like you already do. You go, you network. Yeah. So like if you're asking me what would I do, if I was going to go to the Matrix or I had that intention, I'd go there to pull people out of it. So I'd go and be like them. I'd be like Morpheus. I'd go and I'd be pulling people out of it. So I'd be like, oh yeah, guy, did you know that you don't have to pay electricity? Here's you can use this, especially Greece. Greece is sunny, man. No one should be plugged into the grid. They should all have a system that runs off of the natural energy. So water. Did you know that you should have these things in place? You should collect the rainwater, or you should have plugged into a well, or whatever it may be. Oh, did you know that if you plant these seeds, it will be enough to feed you and your family just by doing this, this, and this? So it's like then people are transitioning from slavery to sovereign in a way that's very grounded and very tangible. You know, rather than just plugging in and basically being a slave. I think that for me, it's like my worst nightmare. It's like feeling like being in a system where you know it's a system and trying to pretend that you don't know, like burying your head in the sand. For me, it's like I couldn't even imagine clocking in, clocking out. Oh, that is. Well, you know, everyone's got their path, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been living this life quite freely for 7 years now. But I really feel after a conversation we had 4 or 5 days ago, because before that it didn't even click in my mind. Like never. I'm never gonna go back. Of course, this is the life, you know. But then it just came to me, yeah, man, that's a fear, you know, that's a trauma. So what do we do with fear? We face them. So even that, you know, facing that, I think for me, this is my character. I think everybody's different, but I like to be among everything, you know. I want to experience everything. I want to go everywhere. I want to see all the different things. And yeah, I think it's curiosity, really. And as you say, in the end, it's all a game. Even if it's 3D, 4D, 5D, whatever game we are playing, it's I think it's it's just a game in the end, for my perspective. So
yeah, no, it's I'm just enjoying hearing the exchange and just gauging where everyone's at. I mean, I'm just observing at this moment. I've reached a stage now where I think for the last 7 years I've been preparing for this moment, and I'm just in a state of mind where I'm like Josh said, I'm just ready. I'm not making any rash decisions. I'm not overthinking anything. I'm not getting swept into anything that is outside of what I've been preparing for the last 7 years. Whilst I agree with what you're saying and the direction, because you want to play your game to the best of your ability, and that's great. And you've got a game plan and you know what you're doing. Well, I'm assuming that you know what you're doing and you've got a game plan. And that's the most important thing, to have an objective, to have purpose. I think for me, the times that we're living in, if there's no purpose and there's no objective to what anybody is doing, you can get caught up in cycles that become loops. And those loops are what you call the traps in whatever matrix you're in. Even here at Pineal, if we create loops for ourselves and there's no more purpose in what we're doing, we end up just going around in circles, repeating same patterns over and over again, and there's no growth. And then you're just trapping yourself in another matrix that is unhealthy, in another toxic matrix. So for us, it's always about growing, learning. You know, every single year must be completely different to the last year. What did we do last year? Where did we go wrong? What did we do right? What are we doing this year? Where are we going? Why are we doing this now? For what to happen where and when? And this is just our approach here at Pineal. But like Josh said, we're now getting to a stage where it really feels like we're closing in on that final hour. I know we've been saying this for a few years now, but it really feels like it's close. And it seems like there are pockets of people all over the world who know what's coming, who feel what's coming, who are preparing in their own ways, some in the matrix, some out of the matrix, but not everyone is organized enough yet or connected enough yet to come into common unity. A lot of people are still in that me space of, I need to make sure that which is part of the process. I need to make sure I'm sorted out. I'm going to go off grid. I'm going to get my own food, my own water, my own electric, my own this, my own that, my own resources, my own sovereignty. So a lot of people are still in this phase. And there's a very small group of people who are in the next phase, which is, we've done that. We're now ready to connect and plug, to start creating the spider web now. So when the system does reset, as they've been telling us, the great reset, when it does reset, there's enough of a spider web for us to hold the organic matrix. There's enough tentacles that are connecting people for the whole thing to be stable. Because if there isn't, and we're all isolated, it really feels like we'll go back to a situation where people will just go into survival mode, where it's just me and the people around me, and I don't trust anyone. I don't know who's doing what. I don't know what's going on, and people will just go backwards, really. But if we're connected and we start building networks of trust now in the matrix and outside of the matrix, when it collapses, there's enough of a foundation that's been built where we can come together, exchange ideas, exchange information, exchange resources, and really navigate our way through whatever changes are coming, but also build something new from whatever spaces that we're in. And this is where Pineal really is where we're positioning ourselves to be right now.
Yep.
The whole UNA thing, some of the commercial interests that we're now unlocking and going into, it's really to make spaces for those things. So I would say the same thing for you, going into the matrix. There are people in Greece, 100%. This I know for sure, especially Greece. Greece's reset began before most Western countries. 2010
Yes.
was it?
Yeah,
I think. So Greece is very progressive in this movement of sovereignty, even though they might not call it sovereignty, and even though it might not be organized. There are many, many people who are awake in Greece but they don't yet have the right plugins. They don't know where to look to. They don't know how to organize. They don't know how to structure.
Scale it up, right?
Scale it up.
Yeah.
So that's something that you could be going to do. So that's a big mission for you. Go in there and say, oh, I see you guys. Go and join groups. Find people who are there meetings. There'll be meetings. People will be having meetings. Join some of these meetings, some of these groups. Listen, observe, and then just point them in the right direction and say, oh, by the way, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? How about this? And then just start pointing people, being the black cat in the matrix.
Yeah, being the torch, the light bearer, really.
Yeah.
And the disclaimer is like, so when we understand this system from a sovereignty space, so if you when you go into the United Natives Assembly on the sovereign course, we speak about this. You know it already, Raji, the land, air, water, right? The law. So when you look at water, which is commerce, yeah, the commerce is the law of the sea, right? The admiralty, the maritime law. So by diving into the matrix without purpose, that's when you become lost at sea.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we spend all this time to declare ourselves alive, back to the common law, the law of the land, the living man in flesh and blood, the soul in flesh and blood. To then dive back in and be lost at sea is like, rather than be lost at sea and survive keeping your head above water, it's better to go out and be like the boat that is collecting the ones who are lost at sea.
Yes. And
I know that
yes.
you can do that at the same time as still looking after your commercial interests and yourself. Like the funds and the material gain is like the byproduct of actually going and helping people to recognize. And then you naturally build a community, because when you help people, they naturally want to serve what you're doing. And I really feel you've got that innately, to go and just be like, cool, Star family, I've come. Here's a life jacket, jump on board.
Yeah, and what you're saying about the ocean resonated with, because the thing is, a lot of people are maybe then afraid of the ocean, so they don't dive back in again because they think it's going to be the same thing as it was before. But I think when you've done the healing work, you can say no to alcohol, you can say no to cigarettes, you can say no to drugs, you can say no to all of these distractions and really go in and just put focus. And I think that, for me at least, that's the biggest shift, to go into the sea again without being lost. Actually learning how to sail, I would say.
Yeah, that's really well put. Being a lifeboat.
Yeah.
Yes. And right now there is a very big storm coming.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what we are feeling, right?
Absolutely.
So
I'm also really feeling like the the storm that is coming, I don't think any of us can fathom what it's going to look like or what it's going to be. We don't really know what shape or form it's going to take. So this is what adds to the mystery and the intrigue of what is happening. There's so many different timelines that could play out. We're hearing so many narratives of the aliens, the UFOs, a cyber attack, another pandemic coming, financial crises, war. There's so many narratives that could be plugged in, and also the supernatural side of things as well. So it's kind of like we're in this space of limbo, where it's just like exactly like Jar said, the most important thing, the only thing that really matters is where you're at here in your mind and in your heart. If you are stable in your mind and your heart and you're prepared for whatever it is that's coming, wherever you are, in whatever form, then you're good. You are good. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be out in the country, in the middle of nowhere. If you're not prepared mentally and emotionally, it could be hell for you. You really feel like you are lost and you don't know where you are and what to do, and you're isolated, and it's a scary place to be in the middle of nowhere on your own. If you're around people you don't trust, even if you're off grid, then it's a scary thing because you're around people you don't trust. If you're in the matrix, so again, it's just like mental health, emotional health, stability, and being in a meditative state and being in full trust of yourself, first of all, full trust, and being in a state of surrender, number one. This is a game, it's an illusion, it's a Maya, it's not real. I'm just here to pass the test. And the passing of the test is not getting caught up in the storm, not getting caught up in the narratives, not getting caught up in my emotions, not getting caught up in scripts that are not real, basically. And when things come my way, I'm able to close my eyes, take a deep breath, and smile, whatever the situation is.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I also feel like, Raji, like I keep seeing these visions of a mass exodus happening. There's so many people that are in the matrix right now for sure, who know they shouldn't be where they are in hindsight of what's coming. Yeah. But at the same time, they also know they're not yet ready to unplug completely just yet, for whatever reasons. Some of it is because they've got responsibilities, they've got certain attachments that they need to resolve before they can take that leap of faith. Comforts. A lot of people need to be pushed off the boat, so to speak, right?
Yes.
Waiting for that push to happen. But they know at some point, like the Titanic, the Titanic is sinking. You can see it's sinking, but it's kind of like until it's sunk, I'm going to hold on to the rails. I'm going to hold on. And, when I feel the water on my feet, on my toes, then I'll jump into the water. But until then, I'm holding on. So a lot of people are in this space where they know, I know things are about to collapse. I know the ship is about to sink.
Mm-hmm.
And they're keeping their eye out on certain things. We have many people who write to us saying, Pioneer, I'm going to join you one day. I'm not ready, but I'm cheering you on. I'm watching on the sidelines. I can't wait to come join you. Just not yet because of A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. So people like yourself and a lot of people who have some sort of experience, who've gotten certain codes from places like Pineal and other communities and places. You went to Morocco recently, different communities you've joined, you've met with and you've spoken to. When that Titanic finally starts to sink fully and the water is now on deck, a lot of those people who are genuinely on that path will be looking to people like yourself for direction and for reassurance. They'll need some sort of insurance policy, and they'll come to you and say, Raji, we've been hearing you talk about XYZ, things are peak, what do I do? And people like yourself will be that good middle ground to say, right, okay, I know the connections, I know where to go, I know what to do. Here's the instruction. And, Moses leading people out of Babylon.
Yeah, actually, that's what's happening here a little bit. We have a farmhouse here we found. Chris and Renate is going to take over it, and they're going to run it as a community. And we've been talking with a lot of people online that have been following us who are going to come in this summer. But there are a lot of, I can see it's like for me, everything is clear, right? They have a place, everything is set. They just need to come and show up. But still, for them, it's very, very difficult to really let go. because they know they are going into another way of living. So it's just interesting to see how that, yeah, as you say, it really needs to take them. It needs to be another lockdown, or even, I think, even something worse than that, or worse, something more pressure for people to really be like, okay, I think it's the financial collapse, if I can theorize. I think it's the financial. It's going to be something financial, and then people are going to be like, okay, now I don't have any choice anymore, so this is my only option. And as you say, with the max exodus, I see it too. I see it's going to happen in the next coming years. There's going to be, yeah, I think millions of people leaving the big cities. So
You see happening with the financial crash.
what?
The financial crash, how do you think it's gonna play out?
So I think there's going to be a transition between two different systems. I can show you, actually. I have my, oh, give me a moment. So it's basically transition between old system and new system. The old system is basic. Do you see? Yeah, it's central bank here. This is how the system communicates with each other. And then you have a bank here. You have a bank here. And they communicate through IBAN and SWIFT. And this infrastructure they use for communication goes through what we call the telephone lines. You know, you don't need or cellular data, right? It's not the internet, but it's the cellular data. And then you have AC, account holder. And they want to make a sale here. So if they want to make commerce in the old system, they have to go through the bank. So if I want to send you money, I need to contact my bank, and then my bank is contacting your bank, and then they give you the money. So it goes like this. And the banks are in between all the time. But the new system, because you're talking about the crash, this system is going to crash, the SWIFT and IBAN, the way we look at banking. The new system is just a blockchain, a computer program that everybody can create, meaning everybody can become the central bank now. Because you can make your own currency. And here you have the AC, and here you have the AC, or the sovereign being, right? And this goes through the internet
Peer-to-peer.
instead. So this is the difference. So when you're saying what I think is going to happen is just this transition. This is going to die and this is going to be born. And there's going to be a transition in between them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe there's going to be a blackout of this system in 3 days or 4 days or whatever period. But then they're going to reboot the new system. And I think everybody's going to get a digital ID. And then you're going to get your money, your information is there, your passport. You no longer need to, like now, every 5 years, I have to go back to Sweden and renew my passport. I'm not going to do that in the future because it's going to be automatically everything in my ID. So I actually don't need to go to any institution, basically, because I have everything there. That's what I think is going to happen. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to share something I had a download the other day that's going to plug into what you're saying. And this really was a really big deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
Very clear. So what I saw was when this reboot happens, when this collapse happens, this blackout, what it's going to do is it's going to open up what we call the Ethernet or the dark web, which is the true Ethernet, basically. So the moment what we call the internet is kind of like a chat room. It's a very limited space of information that we've all been locked into. and we don't have full access to everything else, what we call the dark web. So the dark web is the universal internet. You can connect with anyone, anywhere in the universe, basically, through the internet. But it's not open to everyone. You have to know how to navigate your way through it. So what they're going to do is when they reset everything and they turn everything back on, what we know as the internet now, everything that runs on Google, Yahoo, Facebook, everything, in fact, it's Google. Everything that's Google will now be a blockchain. Google will become a blockchain. What we call www or HTTP will be a blockchain. And that blockchain will only be given access to people who have certain things like the digital IDs, and obviously there'll be things like vaccines that will be used as ploys to get you to sign on. So unless you've got certain things, you won't be able to access the internet as we know it today. So even like Zoom will now be part of the metaverse blockchain, which is under the Google Corporation or BlackRock Corporation. So when it comes up, the internet will be open to everyone, but the internet will almost be a blank screen. You'll go on the internet and just be a blank screen. There won't be like, you can go onto Google or anything, just be like a blank tab, and you type in whatever you want to type in. As long as you have the right key, it will take you into a chat room. I'm going to call it a chat room. It will take you into an internet. So everyone will be the Ethernet, and there'll be different versions of internet or intranet. And this is where they're going to get a lot of people. So people who are organized now, who are creating their own intranets or their own networks, peer-to-peer, and their own blockchains, will slowly come together and create their own internets, their own versions of an internet. But the main version of the internet, as we know today, YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, Google, all our email, everything to do with emails, all of that will be locked away and reserved for people who have signed into the new CBDC system. And this is how they're going to try and lure people back into the matrix, into their matrix. So unless you have a vaccine, you cannot have access to your YouTube account anymore, or your Zoom account, or your emails, or your Telegram, or anything that is part of the internet as we know it today. And then there'll be some that are already coming up now that are not linked to those, that will then slowly come up, that will be separate blockchains.
Yes, so that means that if they're going to put such a hard rule on that, that means that there's going to leave vacuum for a lot of people who didn't choose to get the injection, right? And I think that is also the push, right? To come together, create communities, or create something alternative. Absolutely. So I see that. I see a lot of these billionaires like Bill Gates and Elon Musk, all of them are building smart cities. In Saudi Arabia right now, they're building a huge project, like a smart city project. And I think everybody's going to start to create their own societies basically now. It's going to be more open sourced. Mm-hmm. Before, the only one who made societies was governments. But now, as I showed you with this, it's all system. Now we can become the government and create our own currency, our own internet, our own information. So I think, everything is going to be more open sourced.
Yeah, I agree. It's that middle point, that middle passage. That's what's going to test everyone. Mm. So to go back to the matrix, like for example, we'll use your situation. You go back to the matrix and you start generating income or earning income. Then the collapse happens and then it reboots. And then there's now an offer where you don't actually have to do the work to receive the amount. And actually, if you sign up, they'll give you another 5,000 or 10,000 to enjoy. Mm. And then the people who had the lots of money, but aren't yet in the sovereign category, they are in a space where their assets are frozen. And then they're given the same amount as the average Joe. And they're told that their money they'll be able to access later. But that later actually never comes. Mm. So then you have the bridge between the working class and the middle class is now all in one space. And then there's the working and middle class are now one class. And then you have the ones who didn't sign up but are not organized,
Mm-hmm.
what Agua would call the anarchists.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this top tier who are sovereign,
Mm-hmm.
who are the ones who have been the first movers, the ones who are creating these communities and creating these forums and creating these blockchains and online spaces. They're the ones who will be able to transfer their old assets into the new way.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones who will be able to live completely free. So as everything is becoming more open and most people are locked into this one category where it becomes grids and zones, there'll be a select few, some organic and some inorganic, who will actually be able to roam freely, so long as they're organized and they've got everything in place. So this is what I foresee. And the turbulence comes when everything gets shut off and it becomes almost like the purge.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the test is going to be, because the ones with the kind hearts who are in the airy fairy or kumbaya stage, when they start seeing things that they're not used to seeing, I think they're either going to curl up in a ball or they're going to have to, come with a different energy than they're used to. And are they ready to do that? And then you have those who are doing well financially and they're so attached to that legal fiction, that persona, that when they're made like the average Joe, what are they going to do? All of that energy that they've cultivated for so many years in capitalism, what happens when it all gets reset and they become like every other guy or every other woman? What happens then? So these are the things. It's like there is going to be a reset, but that reset is going to be so enticing for those who don't have so much, and it's going to piss off those who have spent so long collecting, and then it's going to be amazing for a select few. So those select few, like I said, organic and inorganic. The organic ones, they're great because they have natural resource that they're looking after. So it's perfect for them because they've been preparing for that. And then for the others, the ones who are going to, like you said, Dubai and Qatar and these places, who are setting up their, basically the matrix that we see now, but a little bit more advanced, they're also going to be loving it because they're getting exactly what they want. But they did it in a way that is decentralized. Yeah. So like you say, everything's going to be peer to peer, but after the reset, it will be peer to peer with limitations or peer to peer with complete freedom. But complete freedom comes with a cost. Nothing is free. Freedom is not free. Freedom comes with a cost. Freedom comes with responsibility. Freedom comes with management. And those who are not used to managing will struggle and go into the old system. And those who are used to managing will thrive because they've already started to really become free. And I think, like the Bible says, like if you're lukewarm, that's when it's peak. If you're one toe in, one toe out, or like for me at least, I've gone into a space of 80-20. You might have heard of the 80-20 rule. So for me, 80% of my full focus is the direction that I want to head. And the 20% is reserved for, well, it's not collapsed yet. How much can I harness out of this? Yeah. And I really think that's a space. It's like, it's not lukewarm, it's hot, but it's ready to boil when it's needed, And I think as long as like the old elites have been using hedging, it's all about hedging your energy, hedging your energy field so that you're covering all the bases the best that you can, So like I said, this reset is coming, but there's transitional periods where there's going to be hardship for those who are not prepared. And that's where, like, even the most woke people I know, it's like some of them are prepared and some of them are still in kumbaya, where they think if the reset happens, great, we're free. But it's like, yeah, freedom. Yeah, like freedom is a real thing. And if you look at cities, say for example, your Londons, your New Yorks, or the major cities, when everything is shut off and they're like, well, yeah, you're free now. There's no governments, there's no police, you're free. What's that freedom gonna look like? That freedom means like you're now in charge of everything that was once around you being run for you. What happens then? And how do we prepare for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting space, for sure, that's about to open up, really. I think the biggest takeaway that we can have from all of this, or at least the biggest thing we can prepare for as we head into this, is really being in a position where, like Jar said, we've really hedged and you've really put things into place. If this happens, what do I do here? If that happens, what do I do here? If this happens here, what do I do here? The more of those things that you do, I think those are safety nets. You've put safety nets for yourself. So as things begin to fall and collapse, you're falling onto something that is going to catch you to some extent. It's never going to be. At least there's a softer landing.
Yes, like people today, they save money for their pension, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to be insured that when they grow older, there is a safety net there. But I would say I wouldn't maybe trust that, because in 40 years from now or 30 years from now, is that system still going to be there? And how is it going to be with inflation and everything, right? So I can't really trust that. So it goes back to trust. What do we trust, really? What do I trust where I can put my insurance in? And I think something that at least I grew up with in the Matrix, that it doesn't teach you, is to trust others, trust the people around you. So it's really down to that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best insurance, to look at those who are actually creating this safety nets, the organic safety nets, not the inorganic ones.
Yeah, and the organic one is people. There's nothing valuable than people. And the old system knows that. The old system is nothing without the people. In fact, it's only still afloat because of the general consensus of people. Yeah. So the people and the trust is what creates the real safety net, because if you go out there and you feel that you need to create all these pockets of safety as an individual, that's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, okay, well, cool, Agwa's got the safety net of sovereignty and law, he's doing the documents, cool, that safety net's covered. I just reciprocate and feed into Agua, and he's doing the documents, cool, and I study and learn, and I know, great, cool. I'm looking at the sovereign commerce. So how do I engage in the waters? How do I create connections and networks so that I'm driving people into the sovereign documents, but I'm providing them with physical, tangible resource and safety? That's a safety net. Great. And in that way, Agua benefits from that because he's got, say, his solar setup and whatever else and everything he needs materially. Then someone else in the community, they're looking after the administration. They're making sure everything's organized. So how do I reciprocate that energy with them? That's a safety net. I know everything is in place, organized. So when you branch that off, and like we said, create that spider web, and you have pockets or groups of people who are organized in community, then those safety nets become easier. It's a big safety net. It's a big one, which then allows more people to fall into that if they need to. But if you're one individual being and you're trying to create all those safety nets, like that's a lot of weight to carry and a lot of weight to handle. So again, we say this all the time: safety in numbers, right? So when when you have that trust, and you can look to your left and right and say, cool, everything shit has hit the fan, but at least we've created this net, a strong one. Because a rope made of one strand is not very strong. A rope made of multiple is very strong. So if we can create that and bind together and come into community or come into some kind of solid structure, whether it's digitally or in person, in the physical, perfect. And that's really what this is about. There's the ones who are getting the information from the higher beings of what needs to happen, the ones who have been pulling the strings, the ones who are really in the inorganic world, they know what's coming. And for us, we're the natural receiver of this information, right? Right now, we're downloading it from the sun. So whatever is governing the sun is sending information into that light. That's what internet is.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the fiber optic internet, all it is light.
Mm-hmm.
It's light being sent, right? So right now I'm downloading from the natural internet, the sun, this message to say, this is what we have to do. But it's coming from the same source.
Mm-hmm.
That's the natural internet right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that natural internet is coming in and saying the best thing to do is to work like the rest of the planets work. You don't see Mars going, well, you know what? I'm fed up. I'm going to spin the other way now. I'm just going to lose my position. It doesn't work like that. Everything in the universe must work in order, right? Jupiter, Saturn, the sun, the moon, they're all working within the orbit of this plane because they're all playing their position. They're all playing their role. So when we really come into the natural space, the real nature, we realize we're also that. We're one of the planets. We're the Earth. We're some part of the Earth. So the Earth is telling us what we must do. But the Maya, the illusion, the inorganic is going, oh, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. But why don't you, it's good over here. Yeah, so that's why I say we must always keep our mind focused. That woman in the red dress in the Matrix, I come back to that. It's like, we know it's there, but we don't need to engage with it. We can be in that world, but not of it. So we've got to learn what our position is and how we fit within this structure, because it is changing. It is changing. And I know everyone who's in the right mind and heart is going to be totally fine. Even if they're in the Matrix. They can be in the middle of the city, something will be on their side, The light beings, the plasma beings are here. That's why we're seeing all these spy balloons, all this kind of stuff. The plasma beings are here. They've come because we've generated enough energy. Like yourself, you said the last 7 years you've been away from that matrix. Yeah, you've been learning, you've been studying the light codes. The light codes have been coming. You've been fasting, sun gazing. You've been downloading from the natural internet. So now these plasma beings, because we've done enough work, they're now ready to come because we've opened up the space for them. So they're now coming for our assistance, which means they'll never let any of those true light beings who are meant to be here be under any kind of harm. I love to quote the Bible because I see it as like the code, one of the most recent codes, right? The Quran, the Bible, these are recent codes. And it essentially says 10,000 will fall to your right, meaning if anything happens, even an army couldn't do anything to the chosen. They'll fall to the side of that being. It even says like essentially not even a mark will come to the foot off of a stone on the ground to the real chosen. So it's like definitely we have to come into the love space. We shouldn't be in fear, but we must be prepared, and we must know what is coming up. So if you're planning to go back to the matrix yourself or anyone listening, that's fine, so long as you're going with the intention and the mindset, and you know what's up, you know what you're going for. You look at the script and you're like, cool, I'm going for this. But if you're going there blind, that's when you become lost at sea, and all those that are lost at sea are going to be swept into that system. And yeah, it's definitely not for the organic or those like we. It's not for us.
Yeah, and another good plug-in with that as well is like on the supernatural side, and this is something that I think many people have been speaking about, and I keep reminding myself that we've also got to remember that we are vibrational beings, we are light beings ourselves, and we are emitting a vibration, and so is the sun, and so is the earth, so is everything around us. And as the Schumann resonance is ascending or shifting, what I see as the blackout, when this blackout happens, this EMF, it's not just going to be happening to the electrics, it's going to be happening to everything electromagnetic, including our own bodies.
Yes, exactly.
Even us, we're going to be affected by the EMF that's going to happen. But those who've done the work, what will happen is when that EMF goes off, you will not be switched off, you'll be switched on. In other words, you will not go into a space of fear, you'll go into a phase of liberation or love. And this is what we're saying, you need to be good within yourself. Whatever happens, if everything went dark, if the sun just went dark right now and went pitch black immediately right now, what emotion would you be feeling? If you go into a space of fear, like, oh my God, this is scary, you've switched off. And that space of fear is death. That's it. That's the heart attack. That's the da-da-da. You have to reset. If you go into a space of surrender and give thanks, this is beautiful. Whatever is happening, you're in a place of giving thanks and gratitude, you've made it. This is the ultimate test. So something's going to happen where it's going to, wherever you are in the world, and it might not be one thing for everyone. It might be different things depending on where you are in the world, but certain things are going to be triggered wherever you are to evoke an energy or a frequency out of you to see where you truly are at. So you could be sitting next to your brothers and sisters, and some of them will fall, like Jar saying, and you thought, "Wow, I didn't realize that you, I thought you were strong. You've collapsed." You know, and people you didn't expect will go into space of meditation, and they will rise through it. So it's going to be really separating the wheat from the chaff. And if you've not able to harness your fear and face your fears, and really learn how to center yourself in those spaces, that's when it's going to be peak. That's the ultimate test. And the best way for you to practice for that is to learn to detach. Because the people who are attached are the ones who are going to go into a state of fear. So when things happen, the things you're attached to are going to be pulled away from you. And if you go into a space of, oh, I'm afraid, that's it, you've lost. But if you've gone to a space where even if you're using things and it's taken away and you're like, oh, okay, that was great, but I'm not attached, right? What's next? You've won. So everything you're doing it from a place of not being attached, non-attachment. Enjoy the matrix, play the game, use money, so run businesses, fly in your private jets, whatever is operating, operate in it. But knowing that if all of it is taken away in a split second, you will still be able to walk barefoot and to have very minimal and to drink and to survive on nettle tea off the land for a few weeks. You're still okay with that, even though yesterday you were eating, you know, amazing gourmet truffles and dates, whatever. You know?
Yes. And I think that's the native way. That's the way of the native. That's the way of the ones who are adjustable, who can be whatever. It doesn't matter. If it's in a tent, it's fine. If it's a 5-star hotel, it's also fine. I think that's really what it's about. But a lot of people, as you say, if they would go from their lifestyle today, because they have not prepared, because they haven't done it while they had the opportunity, when they get forced into it, that is when it's going to be difficult for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we are doing as well right now. We are preparing so we don't get shock, as you say, the heart attack, right? Because we already know it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is why I know that you're going to be fine, because you've gone through all those extremes. You've done the work. So you're going to go back in now, and you've already detached. So you're going in detached, and you're going in there as an observer. But I think, oh, is he gone?
No, I'm here. I just turned off my video because I need to go in and charge my computer.
But I feel that the only thing that you're going to need to be prepared for is if this reset happens whilst you're in the matrix, and I have a feeling it is, maybe this is your mission, this is why you've been doing what you've been doing, all the traveling. When it happens, you need to have the strength to remain centered while you see chaos and anarchy around you, while you're seeing people dying, dropping dead in front of you. And you need to have the strength to still be smiling and moving forward with those who are still standing, who are just about making it. And you're able to say, hey, relax. It's all good. Let's keep walking. Let's walk in this direction. Don't get lost. Don't be afraid. Don't look there. Don't go there. Let's keep walking this way. So people like yourself are going to be like the Morpheuses, basically, in the Matrix, when everything is collapsing, someone who's smiling and walking through it saying, guys, I'm smiling because I know everything is good. Follow me. It's all good. I know where to go. And you'll be guided by the plasma beings that Jar is talking about. Everything will just guide you. They will see your light, because your light will be the beacon, and they will come to you and they will give you the tools, the guidance, the keys, whatever it is. It might be a spaceship. I don't know. It might be a portal. It might be a map. It might be whatever. It might be a person. They'll send a person to you and say, right, here's a private jet. Get as many people as possible. So you're going to have to be that beacon of light where there are dimmer lights who are just about staying a spark and many lights that are going out. And that's going to be a big responsibility for you in that space.
I agree.
What came to me is when you talked about the Exodus, is that if there's going to be an EMP, right, that is going to knock off all the electricity, that means that the only ones who are going to survive it is bicycles, donkeys, horses, animals, right? So I think there's going to be like a mass exodus, like you go like how do you call it?
A pilgrimage.
A pilgrimage, yeah, to the Holy Land, right? To the land where everybody's gathering, and it's actually interesting. This is quite intense. Had no idea about this area where we find the farmhouse, and it's just by coincidence. We didn't know. Our neighbor here, the only neighbor we have, he was really nice. He knows about sovereignty. He bought the house and he's going to make his farm and everything. And his partner, which he bought the house with, lives in Tamera, he said. And I've heard about this. It's like a big community in Portugal. I think it's the biggest one, I've heard. So then I said, yeah, I've heard about this place. He said, yeah, it's only 10 minutes away from here. So we visited that place. And then we went to a restaurant nearby, which Moji is. And all of them are actually here right now. So it's a little bit interesting how, without planning, and you're just following an ad on Facebook, actually, on Marketplace about this house, how we just end up in the same place. And I see what you're saying, brother, that it's all of them are going to connect eventually, because they're going to take away their name. We are Tamera, we are Moji, we are this, and just be the organic ones, because that's what it is in the end.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've been following the United Natives Assembly, or UNA, but that's
yes.
really about, man. It's really about, rather than it's like, oh, you must be pineal, you must do this. It's like, no, like, okay, we do this. If you want to join, great. Whatever you're doing, as long as it's within the natural law, the common law, and it's within what's been prescribed for us in this time, let's all join forces. So the Mujis, Tomera, even if it's a small pocket of people that are together in some kind of tribe or community, perfect. Una, let's all come together. Let's unite. Let's assemble. And let's be stronger together, because what we've been up against, or what's been harnessing our energy, is very united and very structured. So in order to break free from that, we have to also be organized and structured, but we have to be together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but are you guys planning like any missionary work as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. To go around.
Yeah. I want to come to where you are and go
yes.
see Muji. I really want to go and do that. It's like whoever can connect that dot, let's do that. Let's go, let's sit down, let's break bread, let's discuss and see how we can form a united assembly of natives, of those who are aware of what's prescribed for now. You know, those who created a pocket of trust. Let's be in trust together, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. And another big thing as well is like timing as well. This is what I'm really trying to plug into now, is just realizing that everything has got a divine timing, like you're saying, and just allowing things to flow into things and feel into things. What we've learned definitely in the community is when we rush things sometimes, or when we preempt things too quickly, it's not that it was wrong, it was just the wrong time. So now we're learning to really just feel into things and making sure that the things happen at the right time. We know here at Pineal, our big thing is we're a bridge. We're that bridge. The Pineal is like the bridge between the lower and the higher. It's that middle, between the outside and the inner world. So you get communities like the Mujis, and they're the inner world. Muji is all about the heart space, and Tamera, they're all about the heart space and the solar plexus and sacral and communities and families. And not to say we're not doing the same thing, but it's not our main thing. Our main thing is to bridge all those things and connect them with all the other branches. So to ground it even more, we see a situation where when the whole thing collapses, people like the Mujis and the Tameras, they will completely be isolated from the 3D matrix, completely, because they will go into a place of hibernation of, oh my goodness, we've been to plug into that matrix. We've got no other tentacles into that matrix. We've already set ourselves up. We're so self-sufficient. We just closed everything off. And in fact, this is what they did during the coronavirus. Those communities completely closed off. We did the opposite. We opened. So that was almost like a pre. We were letting people come in whilst all the communities in the world were shutting things down. So we see ourselves as that door. So when the big collapse happens, we're going to be that bridge.
Oh, they're going to go into fear mode.
They're going to go into fear mode, and we're going to be able to still open up and still have even communication with the 3D matrix, with the AI, even with the World Economic Forum. We do not want to cut bridges, cut ties with those entities. We want to be able to find common ground with all sovereigns, whether they're on the right side or the left side. We want to be in communion with all sovereigns and be in reasoning with all sovereigns, regardless of where they're at. So this is where we see ourselves as Pioneer. We're really positioning ourselves for that space. And what that will do is it will open up spaces for resources to continue to flow. Because what we don't want is for when the collapse happens, for us to go into a space of darkness. And then it's like we've got no clothes, no food. And then it's like that for years. And then we're living in mud huts. We're back to living like primitive people. We're not actually evolving. We're now in survival mode. We don't want to go to that space. So we know that the other side, they've got technology, they've got certain resources, they've got certain skill sets, certain things that will help us to thrive. But we don't have to plug into those things. We just have to be able to negotiate and find middle ground. So
negotiate terms.
Exactly. So things like electric cars, even things like free energy, we don't have to worry about those things. Elon Musk is doing those things. There'll come a point where Pioneer is going to sit down with Elon Musk, and we, on behalf of at least the natives in our circles, will negotiate something for the people that are in our sphere, and say, right, how do we exchange energy and resources? What can we give you in that inorganic space that will help you guys thrive? And what can you give us for us to thrive in our organic space? What can we exchange in return?
That's the way.
That's the way. Yeah.
That's it. You lose.
That's right.
Yeah. You can't go into fear mode. And I feel
that you lost because everything is within, right? It's always a part of self. Even the AI is a part of us in some way. We the organic have just chosen not to actually embed it within ourselves, but the intelligence, the consciousness of it is part of us ourselves. It's all being created by the same source, the same creator.
Yes, it's all one in the end. And I agree. I think that's what the problem is. I think in a lot of places is this fear of the external. Because it's fear. And I think that shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be afraid of anything really. So yeah, for sure. The next World Economic Forum, I'm sure if it's going to trigger anyone who's watching, but we're going to be there 100%. Next one, the one after that, we're definitely going to be at the table, because these things are happening regardless, right? And if we're saying we're part, and when you listen to what they're saying, all these elites, they're actually saying communities, reach out to us. The world is going to communities must come together and start new initiatives, new businesses, new trades, new commercial spaces. This is the message of the World Economic Forum. But because people are blinded by the fear and the programming, which is also what they want, because at the same time they're telling you, we have things that can help you to do whatever you want to do if you come in to us. And then at the same time they're saying, but those who don't want to come speak to us, we're going to do this for you. We're going to enslave you. And then people are not hearing the first part of come and participate and be a partner or be enslaved. They're just hearing the be enslaved part, and they're holding on to the enslaved part. And it's like, but you haven't heard the part where they said, come and be a partner. Come and see how we can bridge things. And you do what you're doing, we do what we're doing. And I'm not saying we're going to join them and enslave people. I'm saying we're going to sit at the table with them and say, we do not wish to enslave anyone or be enslaved. We wish to live as sovereigns. What is it? Where's the common ground between what you're doing and what we're doing? In the same way as Una is doing the same thing in the organic space. We're saying to people, you don't have to come join Kingdom of Pineal. You don't have to subscribe to what we're doing. Some of what we're doing might seem extreme to you, but where's the common ground? Where can we meet and where can we
find common ground.
Yeah, exactly.
All levels: community level, international level, galactic level.
Starting within.
Starting within.
Yeah.
Compromise with yourself first.
Yeah. What demons are within that you need to compromise with within?
Yep.
What angels need to the angels and demons, how do they compromise?
That's right.
Because we all have a perfect idea of what we're meant to be based off of whether it's a guru or whether it's a model we've seen, but what's the reality of our being? Like that's why, for example, maybe yourself, there's people who have been here, they've gone back to the Matrix or want to, because they hadn't yet done that negotiation within. They were so far extreme of wanting to be like in these garments, or you know, the extremity of what pineal can be, that they hadn't yet negotiated within. So we're saying now that okay, we understand that we want to say, like for me, I want to be alkaline and this kind of stuff, but okay, am I going too far too quick? Let me negotiate. You know, eat a pizza every so often. You know, like those little things are big things, because then it allows you to be open rather than closed. And right now is the time to be open. It really is.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you talk, I want to talk about something you said earlier, that we're going to be in Davos next year for sure. Because actually, I got invited a couple of months ago for next year. I actually was invited this year to go because I have a friend. She knows the elite there. She's having a big. I think she's the architect or the responsible for their blockchain, something with their blockchain in Davos, and she wanted me to come to Davos with her, but then there was like 3 days before it happened, and I wasn't in Ibiza. I was still in Morocco, so I couldn't come. But she wanted me to come next year. So I think yes, it's interesting you say that, Agua. I think yeah, and I think when that happens, then that's the big shift, because I think they are waiting a little bit for the ones who are able to respond, basically. And right now, there are very few individuals who actually, honestly, and I'm not saying this just like that, because I'm researching on YouTube, I'm looking everywhere. Where do the people have actually answers, and where do people just talk from, love and light, which is a program coding, basically. It's a program language which everybody can learn, but who are talking about the things that actually matters? And I think that's what they are also interested in Davos. And a lot of people also who doesn't fully understand what they are about, they go with anger. Like I had a guy saying, "Oh, these people in Davos, they are," and he started to curse them, and really angry. And I said, "Hey, you don't know that everybody there, how they really are. You don't know them. It's like Daniel, for example, in the Bible. He was a prophet of God, but he worked in the court with Nebuchadnezzar, with the king of Babylon. So imagine if you would start to curse him when he's actually the one freeing the Jews. So we don't know also how many in Davos who are on our side, who are also a part of the organic ones. So yeah, like I think people need to be less reactive on things and more observant before they, judge.
Yeah, I just had a really good analogy of as you're speaking, you inspired a good analogy. It's almost like the world has been running on a plantation, and most of the people have been like a slave plantation in the olden times. And most of the people have been the ones who have been working, growing the sugarcane and the cotton and the food, right? To feed everyone. So the slaves have been physically growing the food to feed everyone, but have been not getting paid for it. They've been doing it as slaves. And now that slavery has been abolished, the plantation owners who've been running the plantations are saying, everybody, we're not allowed to have slaves anymore. So we need as many people to come forward to the meetings of the slave owners so that we can create new farms, sovereign farms, for people to plant for themselves and start new plantations in whatever way you want to form. Some of them might be slavery-based, some of them might be sovereign-based, we don't care. We just need people to come to the table and discuss how we're going to feed everyone. And then a lot of the people who are on the plantations, instead of saying, let me go to the meeting and see if I can negotiate to have my own farm, to grow my own food, I'm going to fight for the rights of this person's farm.
Yes.
Better treatment on this farm. I actually don't want to leave the plantation. I still want to be a slave, but I want better conditions as a slave. That's what people are saying.
Yes, and not only that, you're going to curse the plantation owner.
And then you curse the plantation owner.
Yes.
The plantation owner is saying, well, if you're saying I should go away, that means you're asking me to basically shut down the plantation. And if I shut down the plantation, you don't know how to operate the machinery. You don't have connections to all the shipping yards. You don't know, the cars. You don't know how to operate all the transport systems. If I just walk away from this, you're all going to starve. All of you are going to starve.
But the plantation owner doesn't know how to plant.
He doesn't know how to plant either.
Yes. So it's a symbiotic. So it has to be a symbiotic relationship, right?
It has to be.
Like everything else in nature. Like I said, the sun knows its place. The moon knows its place. The moon doesn't say, well, I'm going to be hotter now. I want to be like the sun. And the sun's like, well, I need to be cool. It's like, no, they just know their place.
Yeah.
And they work in conjunction with each other.
Yeah.
Like I said, like light and dark, there are atrocities which we won't take part in. That's a given. But it's like live and let live, right? Everyone reaches their judgment at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like, really, what do we do? And like we said, like some of these beings, in fact, all of us answer to some higher being, right? So if we can see the World Economic Forum is God's choice. The Una on our organic side is God's choice. So if we can just tap into that source, we can look at everything objectively, and then we become response able instead of reactionary. We're responsible and not in reaction. That's when we win, because nothing we see is anything we have to fear. Is something that we can love even more.
Yes.
Yeah. And the plantation owner is only going to talk with those who are not in reaction, because they
don't feel threatened.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you went to basically we're acknowledging, okay, we've been slaves. Right, let's go to this meeting with the plantation owners, and we walk in there humbly and meekly as former slaves and say, we're declaring ourselves as no longer slaves on this plantation. We heard that there's a redistribution of resources. We're here to discuss.
Yeah.
What are we discussing?
Yeah, that's the most reasonable thing to do.
Right. And then they like you to say, okay, sit down. And they say, right, what's your plan? Let's see if you are responsible, if you're just coming here to make demands. So you go there humble. So what is your plan? Well, this is our plan. This is what we've done. This is what we're envisioning. This is how, when we have our farm, our plantation, this is how we're going to responsibly look after those resources. This is how we're going to be managing the resources. This is how we're going to be managing each other as resources. Human beings, remember, we're also resources. We're resources in terms of our physical bodies. This is how we're going to manage one another as sovereigns. This is what we're going to do. And all they can say then is, fantastic. What do you need in order for you to do that and for you to stay out of our way? You go over there. That's your plantation. Do what you guys are doing. It's not in line with what we're doing on our plantations, but hopefully we can trade some things. Maybe they can give us advice, maybe. Actually, maybe you guys could do this. This is something we don't have in our plantation. So here's some ideas. And if that's something you're interested in, we might be able to help you with some XYZ, and then we can exchange resources. Maybe organic holiday destinations. We can come and detox once a year and come for meditation and come for fruit detoxes, whatever it is. So these are the negotiations that we can open up for ourselves if we operate as kings and queens, not as subjects or soldiers fighting on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's the key. We don't need to fight, because if you approach them in fight, they've got big weapons.
You're not going to win.
Yeah, and we like the organic ones, like we said, these plasma beings, they're on our side. They've also got weapons.
Yeah.
But really, it's all about being in peace as much as possible. And then they can't threats because they know that it's over.
Yeah.
So they can't come to us because 10,000 will fall to your right hand side, and they know that as well. So they know we're the chosen already.
Yep.
Yeah, they're aware. They know they can't fight us. So let's just be, they say, keep your friends close, your enemies closer, right?
Yeah.
It's better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Yeah. What they're hoping, the inorganics, is they're hoping that we will capitulate on our own. So they're hoping, like, if we leave them long enough, they'll start to fight amongst themselves and they will collapse. What they fear the most is us going to them in love. Oh my God, that's the then they know, oh, we can't say no. They've come to us, we have to follow the laws.
It's law, yeah.
It's law. So we're getting to that. We're building up our own courage and our own minerals and our own organization to be able to go to them in full love, like full love. There's no residual hate or anything. And this is what we've been doing at Pineal, really culturing that space of, guys, let's let go of any fear or let's forgive completely, unconditionally, really unconditionally love all the entities. So when we face them, we're truly facing them with love.
Yeah.
And if anything, if they come to us with anything that isn't love, we've got the plasma beings behind us.
Done.
We don't have to do nothing. We'll be defended by God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even that as well, you look at, if you research Shiva and the Nagas, perfect story. He loved the demons so much that they would fight for him. Not that he became a demon, but he loved them unconditionally so much that they were like, you know what, we support this. We support this.
Yes.
So it's like then you have the angelic beings and even the demons which you've conquered within, which then become external. They can't do anything. They can only work on your behalf, which means they're working for God.
That's right.
So it's like you're actually helping them karmically.
That's right.
Win.
That's right.
Yeah. Guys, just one thing, because when you started to talk about their agenda, I was thinking about Agenda 2030. Have you heard about that? Anything? Like, I would like to read for you a little bit about from that. And in Agenda 2030, in their for sustainable development, in people they are saying, we are determined to end poverty and hunger in all their forms and dimension, and to ensure that all human beings can fulfill their potential in dignity and equality and in a healthy environment. And also the declaration, the introduction is, we, the heads of states and government and high representatives, meeting at the United Nations headquarters in New York, 2015, as the organization celebrates its 70th anniversary, have decided today on the new global sustainable development goals. So here they are basically talking about ending hunger, creating new communities, our visions, and yeah, it's basically everything that is happening today, basically.
Yeah.
Everything they're writing. So they must know that whatever that is happening right now, because here it's a call for action to change the world, right? So basically everything we are saying is in alignment with here, and they have like 17 goals, which is, for example, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being at all ages.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's amazing. But one thing we must do as real sovereigns is read the fine print, because I'm for that. I really support them. Great. For the human beings, give thanks that you're doing that. We're going to do the same. But I'm a living man, a soul in flesh and blood, and that won't apply to me.
But can't we say that this of itself is true, but then there's going to be two ways of interpreting the Agenda 2030?
That's what I say it's the fine print. So I agree. Amazing. Thank you for finally ending world hunger. Perfect. Everyone's going to be happy, healthy, have access to everything they need.
But what are you going to feed them, for example, right?
For those who want to be a part of that and be in that system. So we want to be the bridge, like we said. We want to be in tandem with that system, while upstanding our own moral values and the ways that we want to live. But as a sovereign, I'm saying thank you for that list for the greater. I can take care of that myself. and I have surplus, or we have surplus. So that's the surplus I can give to help with those 17 things that you're talking about. I want to help those 17 things with the surplus. So in exchange for the surplus we have, here you go. What can you give us so that we can continue to have surplus? But as a human being, I'm not a human being. I'm a living man. So that's the difference. I'm choosing to be free, but in that freedom, I'm now working with others that are free, and we're gonna have surplus because of how we're operating. But we're not gonna compromise on our moral values. We're gonna use them to have surplus to support your 17 points, which help the greater population. And that's where we're gonna be able to have terms. But if you define me as a human being, I'm not that. I don't sign up to that. But I can support it and not be in fear or be against it. But we're gonna support that. You support us. But that's where you have to read the fine print, because I agree with it, but the fine print is also very important.
Yeah, it's almost like saying when you go into negotiation, you never go into a negotiation without an alternative, right? So if you go there and you're like, oh, we love your 17 sustainable plans and we're in, you're now underneath that jurisdiction. Yeah. Going there to say, oh, we've seen your 17 sustainable goals. Fantastic for those who are going to be subscribed to that.
Yeah.
We also have our own sustainable goals. Here's what ours are. Let's compare and contrast. And where's the common ground? So going there to say, oh, we see what you've done there. That's great. We've also done something similar. So and that's how kings and queens negotiate.
Yeah.
So it's not going there to say, oh, thank you for doing this for us. We don't want anything done for us. I'm a living man. We're sovereign. We will come together, sovereign living men and women, and we will create our own way to sustainably, our own goals of sustainability. And for those who are not sovereign, who need someone else to do it for them, the human beings who are under that registration, they've got the World Economic Forum and the United Nations to do that for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to support that.
And we'll support it.
So like you guys maybe are going down the route of inorganic food, but you need something organic. So we have all organic. Here you go. So for this many tons of food that's organic, what's that worth to you? Oh, it's worth this many cars or this many things. Great, wonderful.
That's right.
Good job, guys. Delivering. No one's hungry. Everyone's healthy in their own way for what they chose.
Yep.
We're also healthy and well fed, but we also have surplus that we want to exchange. I'm happy that we could find a middle ground, a middle term.
Yep. And also when we go as well, we're not going there to beg or ask them to give us anything, because all wealth on earth is an equitable right to everybody, to every living man and woman. All wealth is equitable to every living man and woman. So we're going there to actually, I want to use the right word. It's not claim. Yeah, it's claim.
Proclaim, yeah.
Yeah, to proclaim our inheritance and say, right, we've come here. We know at the moment you are managing the resources on all of humanity, right? And as living men and women, we've come to get our share, our cut of that. And this is what we're going to use to show that we're responsible, because they can't just give things out irresponsibly, because they answer to someone. So we have to show that we're responsible, and then they'll give us what is owed, our dues. Give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
Yeah, and give unto God.
Give unto God what belongs to God.
Yeah, render unto.
Right. So as gods, as living men and women, we're coming and we're saying we've now come to claim an inheritance, and here we are. We're here to discuss it.
Yep.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, good times. Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much for this. Beautiful, really. And I'm excited. I feel it's coming.
Yeah. I'm excited for you as well, actually, because there's certain things we're doing here. Like we said, we're also in a similar space, but slightly from a different standing. Like if we can plug in and support you going to Greece to help others become more self-sustainable, there's certain avenues we've opened in like renewable energies and these kind of spaces where, at least from our perspective, this is a great plug-in. It's actually giving people the opportunity to take some power back for themselves, quite literally, but you're also doing a service because it's good for them. So there's always a reciprocation, which is important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I'm gonna do something, right? We all do something. So yeah, absolutely. And also here, brother, in Alentejo, there is a lot of communities here already that are not also all self-sufficient yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will let you know when I meet the right people that I know I'm gonna do.
Good. Yeah, wonderful. But
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks.
give thanks, my brother.
Give thanks, brothers. Wish you all the best, and I'm sure we're gonna keep in touch and see you soon when I come back.
How do we find you, Raji?
They can check my Instagram, organic.yoga.healing.
Oh, amazing. Perfect.
Give thanks.
Love to you, brother. Give thanks, man.
Love to you. To give thanks. Okay. Ciao, ciao. Bye.